did too.
All right, I'm recording.
Me too. All right, ready? 1,
2,
3,
4,
5,
6,
7,
8,
9,
10.
Boom. All right, let's do it. Okay, here we go. I'll start the podcast as soon as I pull up what I was going to say. Here we go.
I keep recording, right?
Yeah,
okay.
Just keep recording, keep responding. Yeah, we're live now. I'm going to go ahead and just go with it.
All right.
You just act natural. Hey, Spencer.
What's up, Daryl?
Did you hear about the guy who started fixing breakfast at midnight on December 31st?
I did not.
He wanted to make a New Year's toast. Like, comment, and subscribe. Quality content you can expect from us.
This is the reach of our comedy genius.
Absolutely. Googling bad New Year's jokes because we're almost at the new year.
Yeah. We've officially jumped the shark. Also, why is there not a college football mascot near some water called the Sharks?
Yeah, that feels like it should have happened by now. At least, like, maybe Hawaii should have done it.
Yeah, well, Rainbow Warriors is like ingrained in their culture or whatever.
I mean, it's hard to beat Rainbow Warriors, right?
Yeah, that's a really good name. Especially when they wear those old school uniforms that's literally got a rainbow on the helmet, and they wear like a lime green jersey, like a white helmet, a lime green jersey, and white pants.
Well, you know what? I don't think we have one, but I think now I don't think we had one, but I think now we certainly have our uniform of the week because I didn't even know they did that.
Yeah. I mean, they haven't worn it recently, but I will find a picture, and that will be our uniform of the week. Anyways, good morning, everyone.
What's going on? Happy holidays.
Happy holidays. Merry Christmas. As you're listening, as we are recording this, it is the day after Christmas.
Absolutely.
And when you're listening to this, it will be 2 days after Christmas because we were busy and we had to wait to record to right now.
Yeah, we are in the shadow of the last Christmas of the decade, which feels very weird to say. It makes me feel very old, but I guess at this point we are pretty old. So
yeah, within the span of this decade, both of us started and finished high school, and you finished college.
Absolutely. It's sort of weird to think about that way, but yeah, a lot happened. And it was funny because when you start high school, you start college, you're like, oh, this is the worst. This is 4 years. But man, 4 years, when you start getting older, it feels like nothing.
4 years is nothing. Yeah, there's this post I see that goes around where this woman was talking to her niece or whatever about how she had to go to school because she's going to school to be like some kind of astrophysicist or some kind of crazy thing, and she was talking about how she's got to do this and then she's got to do this, and then her niece looked at her and she goes, that's only 4 things. And I think that's a really good perspective.
Yeah, that kind of gives me a little bit of of peace. Yeah. Well, anyways, welcome to the show, everybody. We're here to talk about football, not talk about getting old.
And we're about to talk about a bunch of games that nobody's going to watch unless you're fans of these teams.
Yeah, and in fact, we're going to go ahead and recap last week very quickly, just for the sake of the record.
Excuse my cough there. I'm sorry.
All good. Actually, you might want to back away from the mic just a little bit, my man.
All right, I got you.
Perfect. That's perfect. All right, so to recap last week, we had a couple quick games we want to get through. Buffalo and Charlotte in the, I forgot the name of it, bowl. I don't have it written down, but we both picked Buffalo, and we were both right on that.
I actually watched a little bit of that game.
Buffalo. Oh, yeah? Was it any good?
Buffalo's running back went off in this game.
Yeah,
he went crazy.
So I heard about that. That's good. So awesome. We both picked well there. We did not pick so well with the Liberty and Georgia Southern game. We both picked Georgia Southern. They did not pull it out, so we both recorded an L there. Yeah. Utah State and Kent State. I picked Kent State. You had Utah State, and in fact, Kent State did pick up the win.
They did. So, first bowl victory in school history for Kent State.
Yeah, really, really big game. This is a team that when was going into this game 6-6. Both teams actually were coming in 6-6, and looked like Kent State 25 points in the fourth quarter managed to rally and get the win. So I'm sure them boys probably went home very happy that night.
Also, Buffalo. It was Buffalo's first bowl victory in school history. Yeah.
Huh? How about that? Interesting. Very nice. SMU at FAU, or SMU versus FAU. I've got to drop the app. This is usually neutral sites. You had SMU picked to win. I had FAU picked to win just because they were coming off of that hot win last week. Were you surprised by this one?
Yeah, I didn't think FAU was going to run out and beat the dog snot out of SMU like they did.
Yeah, it was just a matter of they got up early and it was hard for SMU to sort of rally. They managed to score a little bit in the fourth quarter, but by then it was too late.
And it was also like basically a home game for Florida Atlantic because it was in their stadium. So
yeah, exactly. So they definitely sort of had a pseudo home field advantage there. But big win for the Florida Atlantic program. We had Arkansas State and the Florida International Panthers. Arkansas State, we both had picked to win, and they did win. Mm-hmm. Let's see, San Diego State against Central Michigan. We both had San Diego State picked to win, and they did. We both had Hawaii picked to beat BYU, and they did. We both had UCF picked to beat Marshall, and they did.
Bad Boy Mowers Gasparilla Bowl champions, UCF 2019.
Absolutely.
I just like saying Bad Boy Mowers Gasparilla Bowl.
Yeah, that is Gasparilla. That's a word that just sort of rolls off the tongue. Gasparilla.
Yeah. I don't even know what that means.
I don't either.
Did we look that up last week?
I drive we may have. What kind of car do you drive? I drive a Gasparilla. Is it a mower?
It might be a mower. I don't know what Gasparilla. I'm gonna look up what Gasparilla means real quick.
You should. It sounds like a really hefty word. Gasparilla sounds like if you owned a lot of land, you were a count. Like, I'm going to Count Gasparilla's gala later this evening.
Apparently, Gasparilla refers to a Spanish pirate named Jose Gaspar.
See, that fits. It's some sort of famous person sounding name. Oh
yeah.
My. Like, I know.
Excuse my dogs barking in the background.
I know you're sad SMU lost, Spencer, but there's no reason to make racket like that.
Yeah. Hush,
Boise
y'all.
State.
I'm sorry.
It's all good, man.
I think the mail person was delivering my mail, and they saw movement, so they were like, "All right, attack mode." We have to.
How dare you assume their profession?
Yeah.
We got Washington and Boise State. Boise State, we both had picked to win, and Washington picked up the win, which is a big shock to me.
Boise State got walloped in this game. They couldn't do anything. Like the quarterback was way off target on all of his passes. I watched part of this game, and they couldn't do anything on defense. Washington just rolled them. Yeah,
I think this was a case where Washington's defense maybe just had a little bit more experience than most of the teams that Boise State has played this year. Mm-hmm. Great program, obviously, with Boise State, but I just think that the defense was a little bit too much for them to handle. And it showed because they just did nothing the entire first half.
Yeah, so, and good on Washington for sending Chris Peterson out with a win.
Absolutely. So, best luck to him in the Washington program moving forward. App State, we both had picked to beat UAB. Oh, go ahead. Sorry.
He's retiring, so.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, still best of luck to him and his future endeavors. App State, UAB, we both had App State picked to win, and they took care of business. Actually coming from behind because UAB got out really, really early. It was 14-zip UAB after the first quarter, and App State hung in there. So props to them. Had actually a very similar game to Ohio State whenever they played Wisconsin in that last game this year when we thought Wisconsin was going to do something, but Ohio State just outlasted them, had a better team. So yeah, all in all, of all the games last week, I went 8-2. You went 6-4.
All right, good week for you.
It really just came down to the SMU FAU game and the Utah State and Kent State game because everything else we had pegged pretty well. But yeah, not too bad.
Yeah, I just picked Utah State because of Jordan Love.
Yeah, of course.
And if I'm not mistaken, the quarterback. No, I'm sorry. Ignore me. Kent State. I was about to say something about the quarterback at San Jose State, but I don't know if they made a bowl game this year because his last name is also Love. But I got him confused with Kent State because they wear similar colors. But I don't know if San Jose State made a bowl game. Anyway, ignore me. But yeah.
Well, and then do you have anything you'd like to add onto that, or do you just want to hop right into some of these small bowl games and then eventually lead our way?
Shout out to Buffalo and Kent State for getting their first bowl victories in school history, and shout out to Appalachian State for having, they went 12-1. Their only loss was into upset fashion of their biggest rival. But they still got a bowl game, highest ranked Sun Belt team in the history of the poll. So shout out to them. Appalachian State is one of those teams you can always cheer for, especially given their history.
Ever since they had the one win over Michigan, I think everyone is quietly an App State fan just because of that memory, and then they have that moment to go back to.
And then a few years ago, they almost upset Tennessee, and then the very next year, they almost upset Penn State. So it's like App State has got don't schedule App State if you just expecting to go in and roll over them because they gonna come fighting.
Absolutely, and I think from a fan's perspective, whenever you see a team or a player in any sport sort of capture that magic, you always kind of root for them a little bit because you want to see it happen again.
100%.
So, so I think App State definitely carries that. So, yeah, watch out for App State. Anybody that plays them because they came to play. They come to play every year.
They always come to play. Great color scheme too. Black and yellow and white always looks good.
Yeah, that's a mean color scheme. Anytime you're playing a team with that, it hurts. It's like, oh no, these guys came. So,
but yeah, let's get into some games.
Before we do that, I do have one thing I wanted to ask you.
What's up?
I was watching. With the last game day of the year that they do or the last regular season game day at least that they do, where they do Army and Navy. They usually that weekend there's obviously not a lot of the bigger games because the bowl games are delayed, but they do have sort of the FCS championship. Excuse me, the FCS games. And so they always do these little specials on these sort of smaller colleges, and it always is so interesting to me to see how passionate some of these coaches and players are for their school, which I don't think you really get with some of the bigger schools. With some of the bigger schools, it's almost sort of like this. It's a gateway to the NFL, and it sort of has this bigger mentality. But that being said, because there's so much passion for some of these smaller schools and for some of these smaller programs, the devotion is there. It's an interesting question that I had was, if you were a coach, would you rather be successful at one of those schools and maybe not have like the huge national glory that you would if you were in like a Power 5 conference, or would you rather be a semi-successful coach in a Power 5 conference and not ever have that sort of championship moment?
I think I'm going to take being a very successful coach at an FCS school, because if you're a not so successful coach at a Power 5 conference, you get fired. So you have to move around a lot. Yes, I would be if you made me pick between, and no offense to the team I'm about to name, but like if you said, hey, you could be the head coach at Purdue and get like 5 wins a year and maybe get fired in 6 years, or you could be the head coach at North Dakota State, I'm going to pick North Dakota State every time. Like, no offense to Purdue, but you know what I'm saying? Like,
well, and I agree with you, and I just sort of had the realization that, as much as we all love Power 5 college football, as much as we all follow it, I think there's really something to be said for just sort of enjoying. I think you enjoy the game in a little bit more peaceful manner if you work at or if you support a school that is sort of smaller in scale, because although the stakes are not as high in your own realm, the stakes can seem higher, Yeah. I mean, it's like high school football. Like if your team goes to state and wins, that's a big deal. It's not as big a deal as your college team going and winning the national championship, but it's still a big deal for like your hometown.
Yeah, for sure.
So proportionally, it's not as big, but to you, it can mean a lot more.
For the people, like ingrained in it, it means a lot. Also, in this year's FCS national championship is going to be played on January 5th. It's between the North Dakota State Bison and the James Madison Dukes. And I believe this is North Dakota State's... they've won 7 of the last 8, and they've been in... They were in all 8 of them. So...
man, what a streak.
Yeah, they've won 7 of the last 8. And the only time they lost was when they got upset by James Madison a few years, 2 years ago. But they won the championship last year, and they're back in it again. But I believe they've been in 8 straight national championships, and they've won 7 of them. That's a pretty impressive record.
Yeah, no kidding. I mean, that's something that you're not going to see replicated very often in any conference, let alone the FCS. So Yeah, I mean, big props to that program. I think they're just going to keep rolling. We're not picking for that game this week, I don't think. But if I had to, I think I'd go with North Dakota State.
Oh yeah, I'm going with the Bison too.
Big time.
I mean, I guess we could probably talk about that game when we got to it. But like, if we do, I'm picking the Bison.
Yeah, if we catch some time, we will. But yeah. So I guess with that, anyways, I know that was a bit of a tangent, but it was just something I thought about. Of like, man, I don't know. I feel like as a coach, you would almost enjoy your life a lot more if you were at a smaller school with less sort of stakes on the line, you know?
Mm-hmm. And that's
even if the pay is not quite as much.
Yeah, that's one of the reasons why Chris Peterson is leaving Washington. He's just like he said, he's just burnt out. I watched a couple of interviews with him, and he said he doesn't feel the same excitement for the game as he used to. So he's going to step away and like kind of get his mind right. And then
there's a picture, absolutely, man, and like there's a picture, and I'm sure you've probably seen it. There's a picture. It's like a presidency. It's like have you seen Obama when he started in office, and Obama when he got out of office?
Yeah, he had more wrinkles and he had more gray hair.
It aged in like 30 years, and I think if you do the same thing with any Power 5 coach that's been there like a long tenured coach like Nick Saban, I guarantee you'd see like the same signs of like just constant worry and constant, you know.
Well, maybe not so much for Nick Saban, but
maybe not for Nick Saban as much. That's a good point. But you know what I mean.
But I understand,
like a Gus Malzahn or somebody like that,
or like any head coach at like Tennessee, maybe. Yeah. Not to crap on Tennessee. I kind of like them, but
I mean, any coach at Tennessee, that effect happens in the course of a year.
Yeah.
It just feels like everything goes wrong there, unfortunately. But that's SEC football, I guess.
Shout out to a good friend of mine who I play Magic the Gathering with named Kelly, who was a big Tennessee Volunteers fan.
Yeah. I didn't know that.
Yeah. Her and her husband Clayton, they used to live, I play Magic with them occasionally, but they've moved back to her hometown in Tennessee. So, but Kelly and Clayton, Kelly and Clayton, if y'all are listening, shout out to y'all. Merry Christmas.
Well, my man, you want to hop into some games now?
Yeah, I want to throw a little caveat. I believe we've already talked about these two games, but the day we are recording this, the Walk-Ons Independence Bowl between Louisiana Tech and Miami is happening here in about 2 hours, and Pittsburgh versus Eastern Michigan is happening later on tonight on the day we're recording this.
To give you an update on what we picked, you picked Louisiana Tech. I picked Miami. I thought that they were going to break their bowl streak and start actually winning games again. And then for the Pitt Eastern Michigan game, I took Pitt, you took Eastern Michigan. So we are opposed on those fronts.
Yeah. So we will talk about because of the way we had to do this, these two games are happening on the day we're recording this. So I guess we could talk about the results of those two games next week.
Yeah, that'd be fine.
So but yeah, let's get into some of these games.
Yeah, we're probably going to breeze through a couple of these pretty quickly just because they're not teams we've talked about extensively this year.
And we're going to jump around in the calendar a little bit as well.
Sorry, you cut out there. I think we were talking at the same time.
Okay. Yeah, I would just say we're going to jump around in the calendar a little bit as well because these games are all throughout the next week or so.
Gotcha.
But we're going to breeze through some of the like lower tier games because we have to talk about the big New Year's 6 games today. So we're gonna jump around on the dates a little bit.
Gotcha. Well, who do we have first?
All right, Friday, the day you're listening to this at 11 a.m. We've got the Military Bowl presented by Northrop Grumman, which is what I'm reading on ESPN. Between the North Carolina Tar Heels and the Temple Owls. Who you got, Daryl?
Yeah, this is a North Carolina team that really started out the year very promising with their win against South Carolina. They looked very good against Clemson. A team that I think is very young. Obviously, we have a new coach in there in Mac Brown. A lot of things could go right for this program. I think that this is probably one of their bigger games of the year, just because when you win the bowl game from a recruiting standpoint, you start the year kind of off right. Just coming off of the heels, I don't actually know where North Carolina ended up at in recruiting, but I'm assuming with Matt Brown they did better than last year. So, yeah, being 6-6, this is a pretty big game. I think Temple's going to be a tougher game. It's going to be a pretty dang a tough team to beat with their defense. But all that being said, I think Temple actually gets it done here. I think that the Temple defense is the real deal.
Yeah, I'm gonna go with North Carolina. Like, we've been high on North Carolina all year. It's hard to pick against Mac Brown. I do think it'll be a very good game. Low scoring though. But like I've said several times, I'm excited about the future of North Carolina football, and I'm glad Mac Brown's back to coaching. And y'all watch out for Sam Howell, the quarterback at North Carolina. Y'all watch him in this game, and y'all watch out for him next year because I think he's going to be dangerous. This kid's got a cannon attached to his right shoulder. So
yeah, he's a big time quarterback too. It seems to me like he stepped up in some of the bigger moments this year. He had that really pretty drive against South Carolina in the first game. Again, he looked good in that last drive against Clemson. He didn't blink twice, against Clemson's defense. So yeah, big on their quarterback, but I just don't think that. I think it'll be a close game. I think Temple gets it done though. So
all right, I got you.
All right, who we got next, my man?
The New Era Pinstripe Bowl, which is played at Yankee Stadium in New York, between Michigan State and Wake Forest. Who you got?
Who do I have here? Actually, this is going to be a pretty fun game. I think you're going to see a pretty even game here. I don't think anybody's going to break out very early on here. I like Michigan State though. I think that they're going to rebound from sort of having a 6-6 season. Wake Forest is very good here, but I think that they're going to be. I think Michigan State's enough to get it done. Yeah,
I'm also going to go with Michigan State. They've got a really good defense. Some of Wake Forest's offensive weapons have been injured and they've been kind of out. So I'm gonna go with Michigan State to kind of put a cap on their season and go into next season. Hopefully, getting some recruits and doing better in the Big Ten.
Yeah, this will be a really close game though. I mean, I think the spread, Vegas gave it a 3.5 point spread. They got Michigan as favorites, but I mean 3.5 points. That's probably going to change quite a bit by the time before kickoff is. So we'll see what happens there, but I think it'll be a pretty good game.
Mm-hmm. And then
A&M and Oklahoma State.
Yeah, in the Academy Sports and Outdoors Texas Bowl, which is tomorrow in Houston, not too terribly far from me. Me and Daryl are both under the belief that this game should have been Texas versus Texas A&M, but it was not.
Yeah, I think a lot of people feel that way.
I believe that this should have been Texas versus Texas A&M, and Oklahoma State should be playing Utah in the Alamo Bowl. But
yeah, ranked versus ranked, right?
Yeah, ranked versus ranked would make more sense, especially in the Alamo Bowl. But we'll talk about the Alamo Bowl when we get there. But yeah, your Aggies playing against old Big 12 rival Oklahoma State. The Aggies, they had a very tough schedule this season. They had to play 3 number 1 teams, AP number 1s, which has never happened before. And they just came up against. It was a tough schedule. They had to play Georgia and LSU on the road. They had to play Clemson on the road. And then they had Auburn at home and Alabama at home. And they ended up dropping all of those games, but they competed in all of those games except for the LSU game.
Yeah, they kind of got blew out of the water there.
Yeah. So they competed in all of their losses in like these tough schedules. The Aggies competed. They were in it except for the LSU game. So I'm gonna go. I'm gonna go with the Aggies. We've said it before. We're both A&M fans. We both like the Aggies. So I'm gonna go with them. I think this is gonna be an offensive shootout. I think it's gonna be a very good game. But I'm gonna go with the Aggies here.
Yeah, I think this is a pretty critical game, actually, for A&M. And there's a couple of key pieces here. So A&M is set up to have a very favorable year next year. They don't have to worry about Georgia again. They don't have to worry about Clemson again. They're going to have Vanderbilt. They're going to have Colorado. They get Alabama and LSU back to back, but at the end of the year, and they're looking to have some of their key guys back. So they're going to have Baylor Cupp, who was sort of their big star tight end that they pulled in or that they recruited. They're going to have him back, assuming everything goes well with his injury, which it should. He's been out since sort of the first game, so they're going to have a lot of key pieces back. I don't see Kellen Mond leaving right now. I don't think most people do, just because his stock is not where I'm sure he would like it to be. And he's familiar with Jimbo Fisher's system. So A&M is poised to have a big year next year. They're just coming off of the number 6 recruiting class in the nation. I think this is the springboard game that I think cannot be overlooked, because this is a ranked. It means 25. You want to call it ranked or not. This is against a ranked opponent. It's a pseudo home game because, like you said, it is in Houston. But Oklahoma, obviously having to travel a lot to Texas is it's not uncommon for them.
Yeah.
This will be a tough game. I wanted to say a couple weeks ago that A&M's defense is going to be more than enough to take care of Oklahoma State, but they are going to be missing Justin Matabike, who is because he's going to the draft. He's going to be out for this game. He's a key leader on that defense. So we'll see what happens here. I like A&M to win this game. I think that they will. I think that the defense is going to be enough. I think if Kellen Mond has a good game, they should win it pretty handily. But this is definitely one that they can't get away from them, because this is the momentum that we need going into next year to sort of keep the recruits happy and everything else. So I'm taking A&M, but this might be scary if it's close at the half.
Yeah. I also think A&M is set up to have a very good season next year. I'm not aware of their schedule for next season, but I think it's very favorable. So
their first real game is probably going to be against Auburn in Week 7. Like they have a couple of lesser opponents. They have Colorado, they have Arkansas, and that's like their first 5 games. Then I think they have Mississippi State, and then they have Auburn after that. So it'll be an interesting year.
So another 6-0 start potentially, if Mississippi State is not in season interrupting mode.
Right. So it's looking like another Sumlin start, right, where they get off really hot. So we're going to see what happens if they can keep that momentum going. But yeah, we'll see what happens. I do know one fun story to share. Go ahead and say what you're going to say.
Is that A&M Auburn game? Is that in Auburn or is it in College Station?
It's in Auburn.
Okay. Because I have to say, if Auburn's doing good and A&M's doing good, Gameday might show up for that one.
Yeah, that'd be a fun one. It wouldn't surprise me if that was a game day, especially if A&M doesn't have a loss by that point. But the only Auburn's undefeated in Kyle Field, so maybe A&M can go in and steal one there because they have before. So
yeah, for sure. But what were you about to say?
Oh, the fun story is that Jimbo Fisher and the coaching staff changed all of the, I don't know if it was the locks or something, but they changed the code to something in A&M's locker room to 50-7, which of course is reference to the LSU game. Just sort of constantly reminding the team, like, hey, we need to, this sticks, this is something, this is where we messed up. And so, and then, but funny enough, I saw it on Instagram, a bunch of people were commenting, like, I'm going to go to the A&M's locker room now, BRB, anybody want anything?
Yeah.
Because I kind of put that on social media, but I'm sure it's something like their lockers, but not the locker room itself or something,
Yeah, this quote-unquote rivalry between Texas A&M and LSU is starting to get more and more petty, and I absolutely love it because they're my two favorite teams, obviously.
I do too. So, if A&M wins next year, it does become, I think,
a rivalry.
LSU fans would be like, all right, I'm sick of these, So.
Oh, I'm not sick of it. I know LSU fans. There's some LSU fans that don't like A&M. I'm fine. Like, I like A&M, so.
But you know what I mean. Like the typical fan, I feel like another win for A&M would really cement it as actually a problem. You know?
I'm an A&M fan. I cheer for A&M except for one weekend out the year.
Right, of course.
But yeah.
So, well, let's keep rolling through some of these games, my man. We got Western Kentucky and Western Michigan. What bowl game is that?
What did I miss one?
No, you put it down. I wouldn't have read it otherwise.
Oh, that
I would have written.
Oh, okay. You skipped for. Do we want to talk about the Cheez-It Bowl real quick? Do you want to back up a little bit?
Yeah, let's do that. Actually, you know what? I'm going to go ahead and let you decide the order on them because you have the names all set up.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay. We're going to talk about the Cheez-It Bowl. Air Force versus Washington State. It's played there at Chase Field in Phoenix. Last year was the first year of the Cheez-It Bowl, and it was between TCU and Cal, I think. And in that game, both teams combined for 9 interceptions, and both teams scored under 10 points. So it was like one of the worst bowl games ever. I don't predict that for this season. You got Washington State, who has the leader in pass yardage with Aaron Gordon in Mike Leach's air raid offense. And then you've got the fly guys at Air Force, is what Scott Van Pelt calls them, coming off of a very respectable 10-2 season with their only 2 losses coming to Boise State and Navy. They run that same triple option offense that all the Services Academy runs. And I'm gonna go with Air Force in this one. They're gonna run the ball. They're gonna control time of possession. They're gonna keep Aaron Gordon off the field. So I'm gonna go with the Falcons.
I'm not so sure, my man. I like Washington State here. I think that this is, again, Air Force has been successful when they have played teams similar to their own style this year. I think Washington State is very high flying. I think that their offense is better than anything Air Force has had to defend against all year. So I think I like what's his name, Gordon, Anthony Gordon.
Aaron,
big
is
fan.
it Anthony or Aaron?
No, it says Anthony right here on the Espen. So
Aaron Gordon's a basketball player.
Yeah, of course. Anthony Gordon, obviously, he be able to move the ball quite well, over 5,000 yards through the air this year, 45 touchdowns. The big key number I'm looking at is the 16 interceptions. As long as he's secure, if he can avoid turning the ball over, I think it's going to be fine. Washington State's defense right now is allowing 31 points a game to Air Force's 19. So I think that the key for this Washington State team, because this is going to be a high-scoring game, I think Washington State is going to be able to win because they can move the ball through the air and on the ground. Air Force is too one-dimensional. I like Washington State.
All right. Yeah, we'll go with that. So, yeah.
And the Cheez-It Bowl.
Those were, and all the games we just spoke about are happening tomorrow after we're recording this. And then we're going to jump ahead in the calendar a little bit to Monday, December 30th. Where we've got the Serve Pro First Responder Bowl between Western Kentucky and Western Michigan. Who you got, Daryl?
Ooh, yeah, this would be an interesting one. I think I like Western Kentucky here, just because I think their quarterback is a little bit more secure at the ball. I think that their defense is a lot better than Western Michigan, so I think this would be a low-scoring game. Look for Western Kentucky to get an early lead and then keep it. I got the Hilltoppers.
Yeah, I'm also going to go with Western Kentucky. My wife's family is from Kentucky, and I'm never going to pick against a mascot called the Hilltoppers or that actual mascot because it's a big red blob. So I'm going to go with Western Kentucky.
Absolutely, good call.
Yeah. So have you ever seen that mascot, Western Kentucky's mascot? It's ridiculous looking.
I'm looking it up right now. Hilltoppers. Football mascot. Oh my God! What is that?
It's
is that really what it is? That really what I think it is?
That's really what it is. Yeah.
Oh my! That is a nightmare.
I will never.
You know what he looks like? He looks like the Kool-Aid Man if like the Kool-Aid itself was what was sentient and not the
glass.
Not the glass. That's what he looks like. He looks like a ghost from Pac-Man.
Yeah.
He's a nightmare.
If Pac-Man had a reg, I'm never gonna pick against that mascot. So Hilltoppers.
He's going in the thumbnail. That's happening.
All right, 100%.
We have fun on this show.
We do have fun on this show. And your reaction to him is similar to my reaction to those Minnesota uniforms a few weeks ago.
Yeah, Yeah. That's the ugliest, most fire thing I've ever seen. Those uniforms were so on point.
Yeah, dude, they were so 90s, like because they were in the 90s. Those were so 90s.
Just screamed 90s.
Yeah. Anyway, on that same day, Monday, December 30th, we're going to go to the Franklin American Mortgage Music City Bowl between the Louisville Cardinals and Daryl's least favorite team, the Mississippi State Bulldogs.
Are they my least favorite team? I think they are.
Yeah.
It's just they just ruin lives. Yeah, this is going to be an interesting game. Louisville, honestly, a team I have not followed closely this year. I know Mississippi State has obviously had their struggles, but if you look on paper, it would tell you that Mississippi State's going to win this game. They're allowing a lot fewer points than Louisville is per game. The record does not really support that, but and of course they're favored pretty heavily to win this. I think I'm going to go with Mississippi State just because... Actually, no. I'm going to go with Louisville just because Mississippi State is disappointing when you pick them to win, and also disappointing when you pick them to lose. So I always go against my instincts here. I'm taking Louisville.
Yeah, I'm also going to take Louisville, just because that's where Lamar Jackson went, and I'm a big fan of Lamar Jackson. So go Louisville.
There you go. Fair enough.
Yeah.
What do we got next?
The Red Box Bowl. Between California and Illinois. Who you got?
Isn't Redbox like where you go get the DVDs outside in front of McDonald's?
Yes, indeed.
Well, the more you know. I didn't know they had a bowl game. Oh, so this is literally just the Redbox Bowl. Like, was this formerly anything? Has it always been the Redbox Bowl?
I'm not sure.
History of the Redbox Bowl.
Because the bowl games, they come in and out and they get different sponsors. This might be a new one because I don't remember this one being a thing before.
Yeah, this like really. Hold on, history of Redbox Bowl. Let's see, Redbox Bowl. Blah, 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 blah. It's a postseason college football game. Okay, I'll go to Wikipedia. It's been played annually in the San Francisco Bay since 2002. It was originally the San Francisco Bowl. It was the Emerald Bowl from 4 to 9, the Fight Hunger Bowl from 10 to 13, and the Foster Farms Bowl from 14 to 17. It was renamed to the Redbox Bowl in 2018. Okay, so the Redbox Bowl is fairly new, but it's been around for a while.
So Redbox is just the sponsor now, because I'd heard of the Fight Hunger Bowl. So now it's just the Redbox Bowl. Okay. Because it's played there in San Francisco at Levi Stadium, or Santa Clara at Levi Stadium where the 49ers play. So, yeah, who you got in this one?
I got the Golden Bears, and they're the better team. Illinois has not been good in their last 2 games against Northwestern and Iowa. So, give me California. They are coming off of 2 quality wins for their program.
Yeah. I'm also going to go with California because they're the California Golden Bears. And we have an inside joke about that, and I'm not going to pick against them.
California Golden Bears.
Yeah. Shout out to Will. The best among us.
Shout out to Will. All right, sorry. Let's move on.
All right.
What we got next?
We're going to skip forward to the next day, December 31st. We've got the Belk Bowl between Virginia Tech and Kentucky. Who you got?
Virginia Tech and Kentucky. Here we go. Sorry, let me get my notes on this pulled up. And when I say notes, I mean the ESPN page that tells me who's favorited because I haven't really followed these teams that well. Yeah, I'm going to lean SEC here. I like Kentucky. They are coming off of a big win against their rival in Louisville. They were able to win some games that they needed to win this year. They got that ugly loss against Tennessee late season. But other than that, I mean, this has been a team that's had a pretty solid late season run. Virginia Tech obviously coming off that loss against Virginia, who is a very quality opponent. This will be a really good game. This is one that if you got time on New Year's Eve to watch in that morning, if you're just sitting around with nothing to do, definitely check it out. I'm going Wildcats here.
I'm also going Wildcats because my wife's family is from Kentucky and they're big Blue Nation fans.
Absolutely.
I know I've already said that, but
hey, you know what? When you don't follow the teams enough, you just got to find something to pick. You know?
Yeah. And Virginia Tech's coming off that demoralizing loss to their biggest rival. So, yeah, I'm going to go with the Wildcats. And then we get to the third best bowl name of the season. We have the Tony the Tiger Sun Bowl.
Oh, wow.
Not Frosted Flakes, just Tony the Tiger.
Yeah.
Between Florida State and Arizona State being played at the Sun Bowl in El Paso.
El Paso? Whoa. They're going to make both of these teams come from Florida and Arizona to go to El Paso.
Yep. Who you got?
You know how bored they're going to be in El Paso after coming from these poor teams.
Have you ever been to El Paso?
I have not.
Neither
but
have I.
I've heard it is dry and very unexciting.
All right.
But that's just, I mean, I don't know. Maybe you're a big fan of cactuses. Cacti. Cactus. Is it cacti? I think it's cacti. Yeah, I like Arizona State here. They have a couple quality wins this year. Florida State has really struggled, and I think they will continue to struggle. This is a team that sort of, a program that sort of lost its way for a little bit of time. Even before Jimbo Fisher left, has sort of lost its way for a little while. I like Arizona State here. Give me the Sun Devils.
I'm also going to go with the Sun Devils because they're in the Sun Bowl. That's the name of the bowl game and the name of the stadium. So Sun Devils in the Sun Bowl being played at the Sun Bowl.
Whichever team has their Frosted Flakes that morning is going to win for sure.
100%.
Absolutely.
And then
that's facts. You can take that to the bank.
Yeah. A little bit later that day, we've got the AutoZone Liberty Bowl between number 23 Navy and Kansas State. Who you got?
23 Navy and K-State. Yes. This is an interesting game. I think that if this is a game that Navy wins, this is a pretty big win for the program because this K-State team has been sneaky good at staying in games all year. Even their losses to Texas, their losses to West Virginia, they've been within 3 or 4 points. So no matter who they're playing, and of course they have the big win over Oklahoma, we can't look over. K-State has been in pretty much every game they've played. The midshipmen, obviously, the only real tough loss they had was against Notre Dame. They beat their rival Army pretty big time. This is a really tough one, man. I'm actually kind of split here. I think I'm going to go with K-State just because I am a fan of teams that can spread the ball around on the ground and through the air. As much as I love the Army-Navy sort of military-style football, it is not what I would pick in a game against the Power 5 opponent. They can do it both. So I'm going to go with K-State here.
I'm going to go with Navy. I like their offense. I'm a fan of Navy, as I've said. They're coming off a 10-2 season with their only 2 losses being to Notre Dame and Memphis. And Memphis is in a New Year's Six Bowl.
Yeah, two very quality losses. This is a team that, with a slightly different schedule, could be undefeated going into this. So.
And I love Malcolm Perry, Navy's quarterback, so I'm going to go with Navy. I think he's going to have a big day. And he's going to run all over Kansas State's defense.
Yeah, I think it'll be pretty high scoring, but we'll see what happens. I think it'll be fun.
I think it'll be low scoring because Navy will control time of possession. Yeah.
Well, yeah. Now that you say it like that, I agree.
That Navy offense, it's good, but it's slow. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, for sure.
So, but yeah, and then on that same day, we've got the Nova Home Loans Arizona Bowl. Between Wyoming and Georgia State.
I'm assuming Nova Home Loans is okay. I didn't see the loans part. I was gonna say it was like a home, like a real estate thing, but I didn't see the word loans. Yeah. I guess they do loans. We got Wyoming and Georgia State. Wyoming has been a very opportunistic team this year, especially with their early season win against Mizzou. Give me Wyoming. Also
Wyoming. I like their color scheme. Brown, yellow, and white is not something you see very often. And also, surprising as it is, Cowboys as a mascot is something you don't see that often in college football.
You really don't.
You've got Wyoming, Oklahoma State, and McNeese, and that's the only ones I know about. So
yeah, good point.
And then we're gonna
to quote Goldberg, who's next?
Yeah, we're going to skip an entire day of games. We're going to skip New Year's Day. And we are going to move to the day after New Year's Day, formerly known as January 2nd. We've
formerly known as.
Yeah.
What, did they stop calling it that?
Yeah, it's not called January 2nd anymore. The artist formerly known as January 2nd. We've got the Ticket Smarter Birmingham Bowl between Boston College and number 21 Cincinnati. Who you got?
We got New Year's Eve, we got New Year's Day, and then we got New Year's Day 2, baby.
Electric Boogaloo.
What?
New Year's Day 2, Electric Boogaloo. You never heard that joke before?
Oh, okay. Yeah, I'm with you. I was like, I didn't realize the context. The ticket money. Okay, so let's see. Boston College, Cincinnati. Cincinnati's defense has been remarkable all year. I'm going with Cincy.
Yeah, I'm going to go with Cincinnati as well because my half sister lives there, and Bearcats is a cool mascot.
You know what? It's. I think one of my favorite parts of this show is how we justify who we pick. Mm-hmm. I always try to stick like to the paper and everything, and I'm like, oh man, I think their defense is good. You know, they're only allowing this much, and then you're like, I know someone who went there, so I'm going with them.
Yeah,
you know,
you cut out for like 30 seconds of that. I guess you were talking about how we justify.
Yes.
Yeah, you cut out for a second. There. It's all right.
Sorry. No, okay. Basically, I just said that it's funny because when we're split on a team or we don't know who's going to win, I will try to justify it with something like stats and stuff, and then you'll say something like, "Oh, I know. I have a friend that went there, so I'm going to go with them."
Yeah.
Or, you know, I like these colors, or I like their mascot.
Yeah, I take the the chain smokers on College Game Day approach when they were like,
yeah.
He was like, "Well, I had a girlfriend that broke my heart that went there, so I'm gonna pick the other team."
Yeah, right.
So
yeah, no, that's one of my favorites. One of my favorite parts of the show.
Yeah. And then
what we got next, boy.
The Tax Layer Gator Bowl between Indiana and Tennessee. I'm going with Tennessee.
Yeah, this is a pretty tight game. The line on this is 1.5 points. Just to oppose you, because honestly, the stats here are confusing. I'm gonna go with Indiana just to oppose you. So
Indiana quietly having a good 8-4 season. But I'm gonna stick with SEC. I'm gonna go with Tennessee.
Yeah, a couple quality losses in there to Michigan and Penn State. So
they usually always hang around with Ohio State. They never win that game, but they always like make it interesting. They're like, "Oh, you're like Indiana. What are y'all about to do?" And then they don't do anything.
Indiana with their logo that looks like a candle holder.
Yeah, it kind of looks like a menorah.
Yeah, that's right.
Happy Hanukkah. Menorah has like 6,
like 10, right? Or like a bunch of them.
I'm not entirely sure, but Happy Hanukkah if you celebrate it.
Happy Hanukkah,
because that's going on right now.
Yeah, we need like a Jewish fact checker around the holidays whenever we do this show.
I don't think I know anyone who practices Judaism. I don't know if I know any Jewish people.
I have a coworker who is, but that's like it. Anyways,
you said you have a coworker?
Yes, I have a coworker who's Jewish.
That's cool.
Yeah, cool story, right?
Yeah. Let me see. All right. So and then, I guess we could start talking about some of these.
Some of the more quality games.
Yeah. There's one more game that we can talk about first that we kind of skipped. No, we can get to it in a second because it's on the same day as it's this Saturday with all these big games. So we'll talk about it when we get there. So we're going to jump back into the calendar. We're going to jump back to the day after you're listening to this. And we're going to talk about the San Diego County Credit Union Holiday Bowl between number 22 USC and number 16 Iowa.
I can't handle these names, dude. It's too much.
Yeah.
All right, let me scroll backwards to find the USC game. USC and Iowa.
USC and Iowa.
Okay, where you at?
It's on the same day as the A&M game.
Okay. Hey, everyone, just so you know how Spencer's sort of taken us on a tour here where we've gone from one game to another on one day to another day. It's been very complex, and his intention is pure because he's trying to save the best games for last. But this is what it's like to drive around town with him. Like, if we're running errands, he's like, "Oh, I forgot we got to go do this," and we have to like drive backward the way we came. And he's like, "No, we have to do it like this." So that's what driving around town is like with him.
Yeah,
it's
been a while since you've done that. We need to.
It's been a while.
Yeah, we need to go places.
Yeah, we do. USC quietly losing their recruiting. What's the word I'm looking for? Their recruiting laurels to Oregon's recruiting has been top notch. USC, slowly but surely, Oregon has been recruiting more and more out of Southern California, and USC is losing a lot of players to that. So look for Oregon to continue to grow and USC to continue to be not quite good enough. That is just my opinion, but that's just sort of where we're at. But in this game, I like Iowa just because I usually will roll with the team that has the better defense. Iowa's defense is very solid. They're only allowing 13.2 points per game this year. One of their big losses was to Wisconsin, and again, it was very low scoring, and they were only behind by 2. So give me Iowa here. I don't think USC has it.
Yeah, I'm also going to go with Iowa. So yeah, just I like Iowa's color scheme, and their defense has been playing good all season. So
yeah, pretty much. It's hard to pick against Iowa, especially late in the year like this.
Yeah, Iowa's just one of those teams that always just shows up, and like they have a really good fan base. So absolutely. All right, and then we're going to jump forward to the next day after that, which is Saturday, December 28th. Which is 2 days after, which is the day after you're listening to this, 2 days after we're recording. There's 3 New Year's Six games, but there's also the Camping World Bowl between number 15 Notre Dame and Iowa State. Who you got in that one, Daryl?
I got Notre Dame big, and look, I'll be the first to say it. Usually, I'm a naysayer when it comes to Notre Dame, but they've proved to me this year that they're a solid team. They can compete with anybody. At least to a certain degree, and Iowa State has been very hit or miss this year. So give me Notre Dame. Yeah,
I'm also going to go with Notre Dame. Iowa State had a lot of promise this year. Brock Purdy, obviously, he had a great season for them, and I think he might be coming back next year, or he might go to the draft. I'm not sure yet. But yeah, give me Notre Dame. Notre Dame this year proved to me that they can hang with the big boys. So you give me Notre Dame. All right, and now we get into some of the big games.
Enough with the foreplay.
Yeah. That morning at 11 a.m., we've got the Goodyear Cotton Bowl Classic between number 17 Memphis and number 10 Penn State.
This is a New Year's Six game, correct?
This is a New Year's Six game indeed.
Absolutely.
Which is weird because it's being played not on New Year's anything.
Yeah, right. What? How do they? So, give me the lowdown. So, what are the New Year's Six? Those 3 bowls. What are they? Actually?
The New Year's Six is the Cotton Bowl, the Peach Bowl, the Fiesta Bowl, the Rose Bowl, and the Sugar Bowl.
Absolutely.
And I think the Citrus Bowl as well. I'm not sure. So Sugar Bowl, Rose Bowl, Cotton Bowl, Peach Bowl, Fiesta Bowl, and I think the Citrus Bowl.
I had a bit of a brain fart. I said 3 games there, but
I knew what you meant.
I was thinking 6 teams, and so in my mind I was like, 3 games. But then I realized I was still staring at the
12 teams,
the Western Kentucky. I realized I was still staring at the Hilltoppers mascot, and I kind of my brain kind of shut off for a minute.
Yeah, he's like.
This is a very big opportunity for Memphis just because of who the quality of the opponent. Do we know if Memphis's coach, I forget his name,
Mike Norvell?
Yeah, Mike Norvell. Do we know if he's going to be coaching this game or if he's already on his way to Florida State?
He is not coaching this game. He is already at Florida State.
Okay. Yeah, this is unfortunate because this is a team that if it was coached by him, I think would really have a chance of making of showing up and really giving this Penn State a tough game, this Penn State team a tough game. But with Mike Norvell already sort of moving on, I wonder sort of what the players are fighting for. I think it's when you have a good coach like that, you rally around them, and it sort of creates a great atmosphere. I want to pick Memphis here because I think they're a good enough team, they're a talented enough team to hang with this Penn State team. But I like Penn State here just because I don't think that Memphis is going to be the same as they were in the regular season with Mike Norvell out of there. Give me the Nittany Lions here.
Yeah, I'm actually going to go with Memphis because the new head coach at Memphis was the guy they hired from within. Memphis is 12-1. They should be undefeated. They had a call against Temple that went against them that I think was the wrong call. I've talked about that a bunch.
You mentioned it every show.
Yeah. Penn State's obviously a great team. But I'm with you. I think Memphis can hang. I think Memphis can hang with this Penn State team. It's going to do good for their recruiting. I think this is a program that's on the rise. I think they need
certainly talented enough.
Yeah, I think they definitely need to join a conference. I like the American Conference, but I think they need to join a Power 5 conference. Like they should probably move to the Big 12, which would be amazing for them. I think if you want to make that switch, you.
We don't have enough Tigers in the Power 5 conference. We need more Tigers.
Yeah, well, we have 3 in the SEC.
I know.
So, put Memphis in the SEC. Why not? They're in Tennessee.
Yeah, no, that's cool. Well, they would. Oh man, they would. You know how screwed Vanderbilt would be.
Put Memphis in and take Vanderbilt out.
Yeah. Do you know how locked down they would have the East every year?
Yeah, I mean Memphis would win. I mean, you put Memphis in the East and. But no, then you gotta balance the amount of Tigers. If you're gonna have four Tigers in the SEC, you gotta have 2 in the East and 2 in the West.
Yeah.
So put
you gotta
put Mizzou in the West and then Auburn and Memphis in the East.
Can we just slowly but surely get the SEC to be only Tigers?
That would be beautiful.
Can we get just like 50 years from now? It's like Thanksgiving Day, and they're like, "All right, we've got the Texas A&M Tigers versus the LSU Tigers."
So what? LSU, Memphis, Auburn, Mizzou, Clemson. Who else? Is there any more Tigers?
I mean, Clemson's not in the conference, but
I mean
they're also Tigers.
Yeah, I think Clemson can compete in the SEC.
We need less Tigers, and we need more Mustangs.
I agree.
Anyway, so we got that game picked. Moving on.
Yeah, and then we're gonna do the Fiesta Bowl now. The PlayStation Fiesta Bowl between number 3 Clemson and number 2 Ohio State. Who you got?
Ooh. You want to hop into the playoff already? You don't want to go through some of the other games? We got like Minnesota, we've got Michigan, we got Bama, we got Texas, Utah.
Yeah. Okay. Hold your thoughts about Clemson and Ohio State. We're going to jump forward.
I will.
We're going to jump forward to New Year's Day and talk about the Outback Bowl between number 18 Minnesota and number 12 Auburn.
Well, my man, I'm gonna give you a spoiler. They're not going to be rolling. They're not going to be rowing the boat in this one. Auburn is going to win this, and they're going to win it by 20.
I agree. Auburn's defense.
You do? Really? Wow.
Yeah. I'm a big Row the Boat fan. I'm a big Minnesota fan. I'm a big PJ Fleck fan. But Auburn's defense is too much. They're coming off this big emotional win over Alabama in their last game of the season. I think Bo Nix has really improved. I think he's going to be real dangerous next year. Give me Auburn. Yeah.
Yeah, I agree.
So I'm going to throw up a War Eagle in this one.
All right. Well, it's a shame. If Minnesota wins, I'll be happy, though.
Yeah, I will be happy.
I'll be like, yeah,
these are
Minnesota.
Obviously, us being SEC fans, we have a love-hate relationship with Auburn. We like them when they're good, but then they beat our teams, and we're like, dang it, Auburn. But we like them when they beat Alabama. So, fans of both of these teams, I think Auburn's going to win, but I won't be upset if Minnesota does.
Oh yeah, that'd be awesome. That'd be awesome for that program if they beat. I mean, if you can beat Auburn and Penn State in the same year, you're doing something right.
Yeah, And I think Minnesota's gonna stay around. I don't think Minnesota's going anywhere. PJ Fleck has that program off the ground and running. I think Minnesota's gonna compete for the next several years in the Big Ten.
I would be totally okay with that.
I would too. So, and then later that day, or at the same time that day, we've got the VRBO Citrus Bowl between number 14 Michigan and number 13 Alabama. And this is the first time since the inception of the playoff that Alabama has not made it.
Isn't that something?
That is something. Who you got in this one, Daryl?
Well, actually, before I tell you who I got, obviously Michigan did not pull it out against Ohio State. Jim Harbaugh, apparently his job is on the line after that, with that game and everything. Is this a game where Harbaugh can save his job?
Maybe, because I feel like having a win over Alabama would be a good thing. Spoiler alert, they're not going to do it.
It's okay.
Yeah.
So you're taking Alabama here.
Yeah, big. Alabama by a lot.
I agree with you. I think Alabama's going to pull it out. But it'd be interesting to see if Wolverine is somehow. This is something interesting to think about. In the past couple of years, at least, correct me if I'm wrong here, but since the beginning, let me think. What year was it?
2014.
I'm trying to think of the last time that Alabama did not make the playoff or the national championship and was in a bowl game.
It was 2014.
It was against Oklahoma, and they lost.
No. 2014 was when they lost to Ohio State, and then Ohio State and Oregon played each other in the national championship.
But the last time they were not in the playoff
was when they lost to Oklahoma in the Sugar Bowl.
Okay. To me, I think Alabama is human whenever they are not in the playoff.
Mm-hmm.
Now, obviously, they lost the year whenever Ohio State had Zeke and everything else, but I think Alabama is human when they're not in the playoff.
Mm-hmm.
I think 13 is about right. I think this is a closer game than people are giving it credit for. I'm still going with Alabama, but don't be surprised if Michigan has the lead at points during this game.
Oh, yeah, I think Michigan will compete, but Alabama will pull away at the end.
Yeah. As a matter of fact, I'm going to go ahead. I'm going to stop being a coward. I'm going to pick Michigan. I think somehow Michigan gets this done. I think we're going to see the beginning of the end for Nick Saban. That's my bold prediction.
You think so?
I really think so. I think it's going to get bad. I think it's going to be close at halftime, and then Michigan's going to pull away, and Nick Saban is going to be very upset, and then we're going to see the beginning of the end.
All right. I would be happy with that prediction.
What if this was wouldn't it be weird for like big Ohio State fans if this was the beginning of the end for Alabama because Michigan came in there and just
that'd be weird.
It would be really weird.
That'd be weird.
Anyways, moving on.
Yeah. Later that day, we've got the Rose Bowl between number 6 Oregon and number 8 Wisconsin. The last time these two played in the Rose Bowl was in 2012. When DeAnthony Thomas put that insane stat line when Oregon it was the first time Oregon broke out those really shiny chrome helmets. So, and he broke off that like 95-yard, like 91-yard run. And then he had another really long run. I don't think that game is going to be like this. Back then, both of their offenses were really high-powered. That was back when Russell Wilson was at Wisconsin. This game, I think, is going to be predicated by their defenses. I think Oregon's defense is really good. Wisconsin's defense is also really good. I think this is low scoring, but I do think Oregon is going to have just enough offense to get it done, so I'm going to go with the Ducks here.
Yeah, I like Oregon also for all the same reasons you just said. And I think this is also similar to A&M. This is a big game for Oregon in that they want to keep the momentum going. This Oregon team just pulled the number 18 recruiting class in the nation, which is not top 10. But what's important here is they have 2 5-stars, so that they're getting really really good position players. And again, their recruiting is looking very solid in South Carolina in Southern California. I think this is a team that's trending up with a big win here. I think anything is possible for Oregon. I'm a big Ducks fan, so I like Oregon here, and I think this is a must-win game for next year. I think this is the good direction. This is where you have to sort of. This is the momentum game. This is what I'm saying. I can't get my words out right, but this is the momentum game.
Yeah, for sure.
So I like Oregon here.
I like Oregon here too. And then later that night, we've got the All-State Sugar Bowl. We've got number 5 Georgia versus number 7 Baylor. Who you got?
Well, answer me this: is Baylor's quarterback going to be back or not?
I don't know. Let me look at that real quick.
That's fine. It's not going to matter. Georgia's going to win.
I disagree with you.
Okay, all right.
But let's see. I'm trying to see if Baylor's quarterback is going to be back. I don't know if Baylor's quarterback is going to be back.
I was trying to figure that out earlier because I thought it might influence my decision, but this is if I'm being honest with you, I think Georgia, had they made the playoff, if there's some parallel world Georgia and Georgia was, if for the first round Georgia was going against Oklahoma, I would have picked Georgia to win. And since Oklahoma beat Baylor twice this year, I'm going to tell you right now, I think Georgia's going to win this game. I think they're the better football team. I think Baylor is a great team. But I also know that their coach. There's a lot of whispers about the coach leaving for the NFL after this year, which is why their recruiting was very. Well, I think they were actually last in the Big. This is going to blow your mind, but I think they were the last in the Big 12 for recruiting.
Yeah, I mean
that's behind Kansas. That's behind K-State. I mean that's behind everybody.
Yeah.
So I think there's a lot of whispers about the coach leaving. You have those 2 demoralizing losses to Oklahoma. The psychology of this tells me Georgia's going to be the better team here, and I like Georgia.
All right. I'm going to pick Baylor, and let me tell you why. I've been high on Baylor all season. I've picked them twice against Oklahoma, and they didn't get it done. But the second time against Oklahoma, either their quarterback got hurt and things like that. I know you have to play the game, but once it got to overtime, Oklahoma. But Baylor, if their quarterback is back, they've got really good receivers. They play good defense. I do think Georgia is going to be a little bit demoralized after losing the SEC championship the way they did to LSU. Also, this is the Sugar Bowl. SEC teams do not show up for the Sugar Bowl because, one, they usually, if they're in the Sugar Bowl, it means they lost the SEC championship and they're not in the playoff. SEC teams do not show up in the Sugar Bowl. So I'm going to go with Baylor.
Yeah, it was the same reason that the overrated Texas team beat Georgia last year.
Same reason Oklahoma beat Alabama in 2013.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't know. Maybe you're right about that. I don't know. And if it was any other year, if you're looking at a year where Tom Herman is coming hot and he's things are looking up for the program, I would agree. But this Baylor team, as good as things have been this year, I don't think that the locker room is in a good place right now. So I think they're just as demoralized as Georgia is, especially since they just came off the same loss, or a very similar loss. So yeah, this would be a good one. This might be our most heated disagreement on this.
Yeah.
On the show so far.
Yeah. Also,
we'll see what happens.
Yeah. Did we talk about the Alamo Bowl yet?
Which one is that?
Utah and Texas.
We have not. We haven't got Utah and Texas. We haven't got Florida and Virginia, and we have not got the playoffs. So we're just 4 games left.
Yeah. Okay. All right. Let's talk about Florida and Virginia. We got the Capital One Orange Bowl, number 9 Florida versus number 24 Virginia. That one's on Monday, December 30th. So yeah, who you got in that one, Daryl? Virginia in their best bowl game in a while, coming off a good season and a big victory against their main rival, and then they got blown out in the ACC championship.
Yeah, go Gators. I think that this is if you want to use Clemson sort of as the litmus test here, I think this Florida team would be probably the biggest challenge Clemson's had all year, if hypothetically if they were playing. Sort of using that as a litmus test here. I like Florida big time. Give me the Gators.
Yeah.
I don't think it's that complicated.
I'm also going to go with the Gators because this game is being played in Miami, so it's going to be like a de facto home game for Florida.
Right.
And I just think Florida's too much. I like Virginia. I like Bryce Perkins. But, yeah, give me Florida.
Absolutely.
And then we're going to jump to the next day. The Valero Alamo Bowl, number 11 Utah versus Texas. Darryl, let me tell you something about the Alamo Bowl. To me, the Alamo Bowl, behind any of the New Year's Six games and any of the playoff game, is consistently the best bowl game of the season. It's always my favorite one. I always watch this game regardless of who's in it. It's always a Pac-12 team versus a Big 12 team. There's always a bunch of offense and a bunch of exciting things that happen. I remember the year that RG3 won the Heisman. It was Baylor and Washington. That game was fantastic. A couple years ago, that TCU had that big comeback against Oregon. They came back from 31 down and ended up winning the game. And then I think last year or the year before, it was Iowa State versus Washington State, and that game was also very good. So this game is always fun. It's always really good. I'm picking Utah.
Ooh, okay, all right. This is going to be an interesting game. Fun fact for you here, Texas had the number 9 recruiting class, and I keep going back to recruiting because National Signing Day was just a couple of days ago. Texas had the number 9 recruiting class. Now, what's interesting about this, and I think if you're a Texas fan, what you got to be excited about, is that Oklahoma had the number 10 recruiting class. Now, Oklahoma had more commitments. They had 22, but Texas had a 5-star. Oklahoma did not, which is interesting. It makes you wonder if there's whisperings about, Lincoln Riley potentially leaving, maybe to the Cowboys. Let's hope.
Please come to the Cowboys, Lincoln Riley. If you're listening to this,
I will. That's what I sent that was my letter to Santa this year. I was like, just please I want you, Santa, to get Jerry Jones, Lincoln Riley's phone number.
I'm sure he has it.
Yeah, right. I'm sure he can get any phone number he wants. But anyways, all that being said, Texas is again in a very good position, despite how rough the year was, despite the injuries. This is a chance for Tom Herman and this Longhorn team to sort of get back on the right track. You take down the number 11 team in the nation in your New Year's bowl, your New Year's Eve bowl, and then you take a number 9 recruiting class into next year. You take all the momentum. A lot of expectations are going to come, obviously, but this is a good chance to get back on track. That being said, this Utah defense is very, very good, and Texas has been stuffed a lot by better defenses this year, like Baylor, Oklahoma, Iowa State, and Oklahoma as well. So they have had trouble breaking good defenses this year. So that being said, I do think Utah wins this game, but do not be surprised if somehow Texas pulls a little bit of magic and pulls this one out. I think Utah on paper should win this game, and I get the feeling that they will. But yeah, we'll see. I'm not sure what's going to happen here.
I think Utah gets a stop in the opportune moment and wins by like 1 score. Like I think it's going to be a high scoring game, but Utah's defense is going to come through when they need to.
Yeah. Do you really think it'll be high scoring?
I think so. The Alamo Bowl always is.
I see it being like a 23-17 or like a 24-20, something like that.
Yeah. The Alamo Bowl always just like there's just magic in that building, in that stadium, in the Alamo Dome. And teams just find offense that they didn't have all season. It's also a bowl game. Like there's certain games that have magic to them, and this one does.
Yeah, one way or the other, this will be a fun game to watch.
100%.
And we got 2 left, and I'm actually going to ask you one. What do you think is going to happen when your Tigers and the Sooners get it on?
Unfiltered, completely biased opinion. LSU wins this game, and it's not real close. Oklahoma's got a bunch of starters going out because they got in like a fight. They got a couple injuries. LSU, the only negative toward LSU right now is Clyde Edwards-Helaire might not be playing in this game, but we have plenty of backup running backs that can. We have John Emery, we have Tyrion Davis-Price that have filled in for him beautifully this season. And I genuinely don't think this game's going to be close. Yes, Jalen Hurts has had a phenomenal season. He finished second in the Heisman voting, but I just think LSU gets this done. Joe Burrow is phenomenal. Obviously, he won the Heisman for that very reason. I don't think this game's very close. I think LSU wins this game by 25 to 30 points.
Ooh, okay, 25 to 30 points. I'm going to write that down. Mm-hmm. Points, he says. So says Spencer. All right. Yeah, so you don't think... Because my concern with every bowl game, every postseason game, there's no concern in your mind with them getting out of rhythm over the holidays or taking all that time away. You don't think there's any sort of concern there? You think he'll just come right back out and pick it right back up where he was?
Yes, because they didn't do a lot of like extracurricular activities. They practiced, and they had that little like basketball shootout thing they had against Oklahoma that that Joe Burrow ended up winning on like the last shot of it.
Did he really?
Yeah. Joey B, and the B stands for buckets. But anyway,
of course.
But yeah, I just think this LSU team, like this team feels like a destiny team. Like I think Oklahoma like might try to hang around, but I don't think this game is close.
Yeah, no, I agree with you. I think it's going to look really similar to the Georgia game, and that it's it's a little. If LSU again gets out to a hot start, Oklahoma, unlike Georgia, does have the firepower to keep up. But I don't think Oklahoma is going to be able to move the ball as efficiently as LSU will. So even if Oklahoma gets out to a hot start, I think LSU is going to outpace them. Mm-hmm. I got LSU winning. I don't think it'll be by 25 or 30 points. I think you're going to see a score I think it'll be like 40 to 28 or something. I think it's going to be about more in the area of 15 points. But yeah, I'm taking LSU as well.
Yeah. So, but yeah.
And then on to possibly the toughest to pick game of the year. We have the PlayStation Fiesta Bowl with Clemson and Ohio State. Who
you got in this one, Daryl? Because I have opinions, and I'm going to tell you what they are after you tell me what yours are.
Oh, you want me to go first?
Yes, I do.
Yeah, this is going to be an interesting game. I like Clemson here. I think Ohio State's defense is very good. I know that you have certain opinions about Clemson, especially earlier on in the year after North Carolina, and that whole event happened. Clemson is technically allowing fewer points per game, but I mean you can go back and forth on the strength of schedules and everything else that we have. I think that the Trevor Lawrence you saw last year in the national championship is the same Trevor Lawrence you're going to see this year. In this game, what Clemson is able to do time in and time out is they're able to adapt to the opponent's defense, and I think that you saw a crack in sort of the armor of Ohio State whenever they got off to that slow start against Wisconsin last week. I think you're going to see more of that. I think this Clemson team is going to be surprisingly better than this Ohio State Buckeyes team. Give me Clemson, and give me Clemson by about 10 or 13.
I agree with you, but I think it's going to be Clemson, and I think it's going to be Clemson by more than that. Clemson has been beating the dog out of people. The only stumble they had, the only two good games they had this season were against A&M and North Carolina. Clemson has been beating the dog snot out of people all year. They've been flattening people. Ohio State, they got that crack in the armor against Wisconsin in the Big Ten Championship. I think Clemson blows the armor off. I've been saving this because I don't think this game is going to be close. Justin Fields has been a little bit hobbled. He's coming off an injury. I've said all year the national championship should be between LSU and Ohio State. I think it's going to be an all Tigers national championship. I think it's going to be LSU and Clemson.
It's going to be the battle of who's got the real Death Valley.
Yes. Oh my God. If we win, can we get that, please? If we win, if we play Clemson in the national championship, they have to take, and we win, they have to take Death Valley off of their stadium.
Yeah, that has to be the deciding factor, right?
Mm-hmm. So, but yeah, I don't think this game's close.
It's going to be a fun playoff. I think it'll be a good game, but I don't think there will ever be a moment where you're going, well, Ohio State might win this. I think it's going to be it's going to have the energy of Clemson is probably going to win the whole game, despite the fact that they're within a single possession. I think Clemson's just going to outpace them. They're going to expose the cracks in the armor that Wisconsin started to chip away at. I got Clemson here.
Yeah,
but yeah, and then we'll talk about the Natty, of course, the week after that.
Yeah, well, the Natty's not until January 13th.
Right, so we'll have a bit of a delay. We'll figure that out.
Yeah.
But either way, bowl season is going to be fun, man. I'm excited.
Yeah, and there's a few games between. There's 3 bowl games between now and the national championship. So, and then there's not. Yeah, we'll figure it out when we get there. So
absolutely.
But yeah, man, that's.
Well, thanks for joining us, everybody.
Yeah, bowl season is going to be a fun one.
Yes, it is.
I don't think we're going to get into any of our extracurriculars this week. It's already been a long show. So,
well, thanks so much for joining us, guys. Let us know what you think in the comments, and we're excited to see what's going to happen over the next couple of days. It's going to be a lot of fun.
I'm excited for my Tigers. I hope we get the win against Oklahoma. I think we will, and then we're going to go on to the national championship against what I think is going to be Clemson.
Absolutely. I'm pumped, man. It's going to be a lot of fun.
Yeah, so thank you for listening. Check out the Facebook page. Subscribe on YouTube. So, and we'll have this up tomorrow morning for you.
Call your grandparents.
Yeah. So, all right, y'all.
See you guys.
See you next week.
Bye.